Jay, thanks for coming on, bud.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to come on here with you. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Let me fanboy for a second and say that I'm just a massive fan. And I look forward to a lot of the things that you do, especially the hits before the games, because I'm like, all right, let me find out what's either breaking or what do I need to know about who's hurt. So before we talk about some of the stuff that you're working on, just let me say that I'm a massive fan for a long time of what you do.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. It's pretty cool for me. This is my 20th year at the NFL and Fox. So like every weekend, I get to have a family reunion with the rest of my family, and we're all crazy. It's me and Bradshaw and Howie Long and my baby sister Michael Strahan and Kurt Menefee and Jimmy Johnson. But every week I get to have a family reunion. Like, how freaking cool is that?
Yeah, it's awesome to have a job that you love. And I definitely want to get to the football stuff later, but I, like yourself, I'm a big advocate of pursuing mental health. And I think, me growing up in a small town in a very rural part of a state of Arkansas, that we didn't know anything about mental health growing up.
Yeah.
And then to watch you, really champion this cause and share your struggles with it, like that's inspiring for a guy like me. So I want to first talk about the podcast that is called Unbreakable. And you even say it's a mental health podcast. It's right there in the title. So you're letting everybody know what's going on there. What exactly are you talking about, and how are you discussing mental health on the podcast?
And that's the thing. The whole thing spawned from my book, Unbreakable, how I turn my depression, anxiety into motivation. And you can too, because I made a decision a long time ago, like I wasn't going to let this thing beat me. And I live in something that I call the gray. That's depression, anxiety. Let's throw in some ADD, a little bipolar if you can. I got it all. And it's my earliest childhood memory. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't ask for this. But it's every single day of my life. It is hard for me to get out of bed in the morning. I got to make that decision. But, when you live in the gray, it's like you wake up every morning thinking the world hates you. You're not worthy of being loved. The sky is falling, and it's not real. And I know people at home probably going, oh, what's this guy complaining about? His life is great. Man, my life is great. Like, I'm on here with you. Are you kidding me? But between my ears sucks. So for all these years, I created this character on TV, the Glaze, and fighting and football and ballers and doing all this. And I hid it. I just suffered in silence all these years. And I wish I spoke up earlier because of all the people I could have helped, but also I would have had a better team to walk this walk with together. And I would have been able to handle it a lot better than the ways I handle it, which the ways I handle it in the past were not healthy for me or other people.
We spend so much time talking about our physical fitness. And again, I've been someone who was uneducated on it for a long time until I started experiencing things myself. But we do all this, how to work out, how to eat. And that is a big part of health, but it ain't all of health. And I've learned this as well. And if you're not mentally healthy and you're not working on your mental health, it's almost hard to get healthy physically, because if you're not all in up top, it's hard to be all in at all.
Yeah, when the roommates in my head are not playing along nicely together, man, everything hurts. And so when I have these periods of the gray that I call them, I get a visceral physical reaction. When my depression and anxiety hit bad, I feel it actually in my joints, on the left side of my gut, and behind my rib cage. And that pain's very real for me. And it's something that I handle every single day. And you're right. Mental health is so reactive these days, right? Physical health, like, man, you're going to go to the gym because you want to get yourself bigger. It's every day, right? Or stronger, cardio, whatever that is, right? Like, I just talked to football teams. I say, you guys don't only catch passes when you have the drops. You throw them and catch them all the time. Mental health, we only go to see a therapist when the sky is falling. And that's sometimes too late. So I'm trying to get out ahead of it. We talk mental health. The reason why I wrote this book and the reason why I'm doing this podcast is I want to give it words. I want to give people words to be able to start having the conversation and it's incredible the reaction I've had. I've had grandmothers reach out saying, thank you, for the first time in 80 years, I could have this conversation and tell my husband and kids and grandkids what I've been going through. A lot of girl dads saying, like, I don't have it. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, you do. But my daughter does. But now I'm able to have the conversation. And I want to make this distinction very clear. I'm not a therapist, not a doctor, I'm not a teacher. I'm just a dude who's messed up, who's learning how to be good with his messed upness. And you don't have to have my level, which is clinical. And that's why I guess allows me to talk about it. I have clinical depression, anxiety, and that I hit all these years. But we're all going through something these days. Man, social media makes us all think our lives suck. Like we're comparing ourselves to everybody else's filtered fraction of a second of a day. And we're going, man, how come my food doesn't look like that? Why am I not at that party? Like we feel left out. Or on Twitter, we see so much hate and bullying. And when I got bullied on the playground growing up, it sucked for a month. But now we're seeing it 1,000 times a second on Twitter. So it's just a scarier world. So you don't have to have my level, right? But we're all going through some sort of gray. And like I said, my job now is, I felt cursed for all these years, but now I feel like God blessed me with depression, anxiety, so I could give other people a voice to hopefully help them through their pain. Because, man, we deserve it. We don't deserve for this gray to win. Screw that. Like, I deserve to live in the blue. We all do.
I wonder what your turning point was as far as you mentioned the Glaze and this larger-than-life character that you presented. But that was your job, right? I bet I do this too. Like, other days I don't feel good, but I got to come and do a national show. And you got to be who people are tuning in to see or tuning in to hear. But for you, not only were you this larger-than-life person, but there's MMA, there's football. It's a very macho thing that you're a part of. And when was it for you that you went, you know what, I just have to be uncomfortably vulnerable because if I don't, like I'm not actually sharing who I really am? What was that turning point for you?
I started going down worse and worse roads here as I've gotten older. People think that you hit success. I thought, and here's the thing, like for me, that's why I say in the book title, how I use it to motivate me. I'm not able, like, I don't know what it's like to feel love from the inside out. I've never felt worthy of being loved, which sucks, man. It's lonely. I want to be loved. So it's, as a result, forced me to do all these big, great things on the outside. Like I'm in the TV Hall of Fame. I was the first MMA host of a national MMA show in America, doing 5 years on Ballers with The Rock, who wrote the foreword for my book, is how important this is. So it's forced me to go do all these great things on the outside to feel loved. And I thought, man, once I kind of made it and I'd have some money, and listen, I've been on both ends. The first 11 years of my career, I was making $9,700 a year living in New York City. That sucks. So I understand what it's like to be broke. And I worked my butt off to be unbreakable, if you will, because I needed to find that outside love to help lift me up. And just didn't work like that. Like the outside stuff didn't really fulfill me. So I kind of got sick of it, man. I got sick of waking up every day. And, one of the things I read about in the book is that I need a team. And I've had fight teams and different teams to help me through. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start talking about it, because the more I can talk about it, I'll get a bunch more teammates out there that we can walk this walk together, and it'll help me through. And I've needed the help. As much as I'm helping others, I need the help just as much.
I want to encourage you guys to check out Unbreakable, How I Turned My Depression, Anxiety into Motivation, and You Can Too, by Jay Glazer. And then the podcast, which is Unbreakable with Jay Glazer, a mental health podcast. They are both the first episode, Sean McVay. I assume you've got some really, like someone like me would consider really cool relationships. And is Sean a friend of yours who wanted to come on? Yeah.
So in the book, when I describe the gray, we're in Mexico, myself, him, and Andrew Whitworth. And we're trying to describe to him what depression and anxiety is. And Sean, man, his life is like a nightlight. He's like the worst thing that ever happened to Sean is he didn't win the Super Bowl in his second year ever as the youngest head coach in NFL history. And like his parents look like the people who are in picture frames you buy in freaking Target. It's like he don't understand childhood trauma or anything like that. So he starts really deep diving, explaining. So I thought it was a good way for me to explain it. Trying to explain to the Super Bowl winning head coach of what it's like to have depression, anxiety, and the gray. And Andrew Whitworth, who's his captain, his left tackle, who's the Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, he starts talking about it. And Sean goes, wait, you too? And he's like, Sean, what do you think gets me at 40 years of age to still pound my head into Aaron Donald every day? Yeah, dude, I'm messed up. Absolutely. We all are. So we were trying to explain to Sean that it's not just your locker room, it's everybody around you. And where you got to start, I said, Sean, think how great of a coach you could be if you could start learning how to be vulnerable, and you can start leaning into other people and start, the attachment that I now have. And I'll tell you a story after this about me and Michael Strahan. who's my best friend, for 30 years, but that I hid it from. But I said, man, imagine how much better of a coach this will make you. Well, last year they go 0 for November during the Super Bowl run, and he was struggling. And people don't know I would actually go out to his house. I was concerned about him. And I went to his house a couple times during that period just to get him to start being vulnerable and opening up to people on his team and his staff. And he did. And he really started opening up to things that he was struggling with. And that really helped bond them together. And then they went on a Super Bowl run. And it made him a better coach and now he's a husband now, better friend, better everything. So it's pretty cool. I got to, these relationships in the most doodly of worlds, right? Like I look at it like no one's questioning my manhood. I fought for years. I coached for years, do football, ballers, all that. So no one's questioning my manhood. So I could cry to you on the drop of a dime. I'm good.
What's the Strahan story?
So man, again, this guy is my best friend since 1993. He and I latched on each other. And in those broke years, I didn't have enough money I had to go to Giant Stadium every day to work, to be a reporter. I didn't have enough money to take a subway to a bus to Giant Stadium and back every day. So Stray drove me back into New York City every freaking day for like 9 years. So I owe him like 28 grand in Lincoln Tunnel fare, right? So for years, and I hid this from my whole team, except Howie Long. Howie could tell when I was having, I would have these anxiety attacks before the show and some mental breakdown sometimes. And Howie would go, hey, the sky's not falling. The sky's not falling. Because Howie's messed up too. You got to be messed up to be that violent of a football player. But so last year, 30 years, okay, Strahan and I are supposed to go out to dinner. And man, the beast just got out of the box. And my anxiety, I got woken up in the middle of the night by an anxiety attack. Like, how unfair is that? And like, I didn't do anything. There wasn't anything that triggered me. It woke me up. And man, I just felt like my world was ending. And it freaking sucked. And like I said, it takes so much out of me physically when it happens. So for the first time in 30 years, I'm supposed to go out to dinner with Stray. And I said, man, can't go to dinner tonight. In the past, when this happened, I would use Vicodin and alcohol and just hide it. And that would usually be a lot more dangerous because I started to get a little fisty, start snatching people. And I'm not the most pleasant person on that. So for the first time in 30 years, I said, Stray, can't go to dinner tonight, man. The beast just got out of the box. And he said, you want me to come over? I said, not this time. I think I got to get back to bed. And he said, you want to talk about it? I said, I do, but not right now. And then he said to me, why have you never told me about this? I'm your best friend. I said, man, I don't make up the rules of this thing, bro. Whatever reason, I felt ashamed with you. And he's like, yeah, but you took my ability to be your friend away. Like, I wish you had opened up. I get a little choked up talking about it because had I been able to open up to him for 30 years like I am now, I would have had somebody that I could have leaned on. I would have had somebody who can help me out of that dark hole. So for everybody out there listening, listen, every single person I've opened up to about this, when I'm having bad days, nobody's told me to suck it up. Nobody's called me a wuss. In fact, it's gotten us closer together. And I would say the majority of my friends that I've opened up to about it have then in turn opened up to me about something that they never know they ever could have.
Yeah, it sounds like your team's very important to you. Your friends are very important to you. Your support group,
yes. Which
also kind of
that's a pillar in the book of like how to get through this.
Yeah, like
it's finding those teams.
I talk about when I will speak or I do a comedy / kind of TED Talk where I tour a bit and I talk about how we're always afraid to ask for help, but if somebody asks us for help, we do it in a second. So if someone's ever like, hey, would you please help? Absolutely, I do it. But then why wouldn't you ask for help if you need it? I don't want to bother people. Oh, I don't know but it's almost, lend that perspective to you having to reach out to somebody because you would help somebody. So why would you not ask somebody to lend you a hand?
So you know what I do now? So now I have better tools to deal with it. So again, I had another night, and I don't know why these have been happening lately. But again, like I said, like depression, anxiety, they pull a chair up whenever they damn well please. Right? There's no schedule. And for me also, I have a panic attack every single time I've ever been on TV from 2005 to now. As I'm on that first segment, only on our show, not on somebody else's show. It's the weirdest thing, which was really, really strange because, man, I'm great in chaos. I suck in calm. So I don't know why that happens. It becomes habitual. But so as I'm talking to you on Sundays, every time that first segment, I'm having an anxiety attack, and I call it wrestling with my abuser. And so what I do now when I get woken up in the middle of the night by it, or I have a really bad day, I will call 4 friends and tell them, man, I am freaking struggling today. I just got to tell somebody because there's power in numbers, right? So I start telling them. And then the other thing I do, like another one of my pillars, is being of service. And being of service can be charity or, helping in so many different ways. But I'll call 4 other friends and not tell them I'm struggling, just to check up on them. And that combination of me calling people and having a team to help lift me up, and then me checking up on others to be of service to them, that really helps that gray take a hike.
Speaking of friends, just relating it to your career, how do you have so many friends? How do you know so much stuff? Like, what? Because it's like if I needed to know something, if I was going to, it would be called Jay Glazer. If it's anybody, is it all relationship based?
Everything's relationship based, and that's the other thing I kind of write about is the art of loyalty is a dying art, right? And I'm the most loyal dude on the planet. Love me or hate me, anybody you talk to about me will tell you I'm the most loyal dude on the planet, and the way you have relationships is give. I'm always thinking for my friends and for people, not with them having to ask. And the same thing for me, I would hope not to ask, like just give, think for people. And that in itself is being of service. So I have that mindset of how can I give to people and lift them up? And that's what relationships are supposed to be. They're supposed to be give. But when I have, when my friends lose in the NFL, I'm the first one to call them because nobody else will. When my friends, I see something on TMZ and they're going through something, bam, I'll call them in 2 seconds to let them know they don't got to walk this walk alone. And I think there's something for that authenticity, especially in how fake this world is these days. Like I said, love me or hate me, at least you know who you're getting. I never know who I'm getting when I wake up in the morning with myself, but everybody else knows who they're getting.
The book is Unbreakable: How I Turn My Depression, Anxiety into Motivation, and you can too, by Jay Glazer. We have a group of guys here that would like to ask you a couple football questions. Are you cool with that?
Ahead.
And feel free to share, even if you've been told this to keep secret, because it's never going to go anywhere. We're never going to share.
Oh,
Tell
sure.
us your deepest, darkest secrets.
No one listens to this show.
Yes. Eddie, you're first up with Jay.
Hey, Jay. It's awesome to talk to you.
What's happening, brother?
I'm a big Cowboys fan, and needless to say,
I can tell.
We've been riddled with injuries, right? Is it weird to you, and this may be the first season that I've really seen this, or maybe I've just missed it, but with Dak's injury, we're getting updates and reports from the owner versus like a team doctor. Is that
who stayed at the Holiday Inn Express last night, right? So he's telling you medical updates all of a sudden. I'm like, Jerry, what are you doing?
So is that your contact now? Like, do you, instead of going to like a medical guy for Dak's updates, like what's your whole thought on going to Jerry now and Jerry giving us updates?
Well, I don't go to him for that, but I talk to Jerry a lot, and Jerry and I actually have a story. I stole one of his steak sandwiches recently, and he got so upset with me because I bullied him. And then I thought I was just joking around, but he was really pissed off at me that I stole a steak sandwich. But the thing is, listen, no, he's getting information for the medical department, which he's now passing along. But here's the truth about Dak's injury. Okay. Yes, it only takes 7 to 10 days. I think the Joneses get very, very optimistic, right? And I'm always like, dude, go on the other side, man. Tell everybody he's going to be out 8 weeks. So if he comes back earlier, he looks like John Wayne, But when you tell people he's going to come back earlier, he doesn't, people get frustrated. But I think they just get very, very optimistic. The truth about the injury is that it takes like 7 to 10 days for that wound to heal. And where the break was, if there is a way to say it's an ideal place, I don't know if there's ever an ideal place for a broken thumb, but it's way better down toward the hand than it is, in the middle of that thumb. But the truth is nobody can tell you, including Jerry Jones, how quickly it's going to take for Dak to get his grip back, and not just the grip, but be able to spin that ball the way he wants to. So that's why, can he start throwing again soon? Yes, but nobody can tell you how fast that grip is going to come back the exact way that he wants to start spinning that rock.
I'll talk about Patrick Mahomes for a second, where I feel like Mahomes is
never seen anything like him.
I felt like this offseason he was so disrespected, and people were moving him down the list of active quarterbacks.
But they used to do that to Brady all the time too. But same thing. It's like you try and take down people who are the best, and I don't understand why either. I have no clue why. But hey, listen, man, this is my 30th year doing this, my 20th in Fox. Man, I have never seen anything like Patrick Mahomes.
In what way?
Vision, throws, the way he sees things, the amount of throws he can make from different angles, from off balance, from against the grain, from the accuracy, the way he just looks like he's barely moving his wrist, and then all of a sudden it's 75 yards downfield. It's insane. In fact, I think Mahomes is better now without Tyreek Hill. He's going to evolve into an even better quarterback, because with Tyreek, you almost were forcing it downfield a lot, and he didn't have to have a lot of patience. Now this is forcing him to have patience, and you're seeing him to start spread the ball out more, go through his progressions, and it just makes him a lot more dangerous.
We feel like these athletes are up on this crazy pedestal where they're not looking down and seeing what we are doing down here. But I imagine he's seeing and hearing, or did hear, a lot of the stuff that was being said about him. Yeah. Do you feel like he's extra, and it's hard to be extra motivated when you're extremely motivated, just as an everyday standard, but do you feel like he's extra motivated this year?
No, I think and that's why I say he's different. Like guys like he and Tom Brady, they don't need any motivation. They're great. I've trained hundreds of players in mixed martial arts, and I always tell these guys, hey, here's the secret to success. Find out who the best is and do more than them. That's it. Pretty simple. And I can't tell you how many guys will be like, well, I can't do more than Tom Brady. Why not? Tom had to do more than somebody else, right? Why not? You want to be great, find out who the best is and do more than them. Patrick Mahomes, the way he works at it, things he works at, you gotta be crazy to be great. You gotta have that sickness, right? And really greatness comes from the hours that you put work in that when nobody's watching. And I think people like Mahomes and Brady has the staying power, because today's player, they care more about being famous than being great. Being famous is not the same as being great. Back in the day, you had to work your butt off to get famous. You had to get to the Pro Bowl. It was a different type of player. But now, because of social media, they're all famous. And again, a lot of them just think being famous is being great, and it's not. So when you have guys like Tom or Patrick who just care about being great, and they're constantly just outworking the world, that's why you see these guys continue to just rise up, and they get better and better and better and better. Tom's thrown for more yards or TDs, I forget the stat, in his 40s than he did his 20s. That's ridiculous.
Justin Herbert, we're talking about Dak's injury. Let's talk about Justin Herbert for a second. How hard is it? Because again, with your MMA background, you've probably strained and injured everything at some point. Yeah,
I've had this injury.
Oh
man, it sucks.
What's he dealing with, and what do you expect from him all season?
Oh my God. So you're better off pain-wise, you're better breaking a rib than fracturing that cartilage between the ribs. First of all, when you break a rib's more dangerous because it could pop out and puncture a lung, right? But the cartilage, man, it's hard to. Like Terry Bradshaw just said it. He had it. It took him 7 weeks to get over, and he ain't even playing. It's hard to talk, laugh, sneezing and coughing. That's the worst. Oh man, it sucks so badly. Like I try never to look up at the sun when I have this. And the problem too is it's a hard area to shoot up, right? To inject. And you saw that last time with the Chargers. They try to shoot up Tyrod Taylor. Yeah. They punctured his lung, right? And that's what started Justin Herbert's career. But the fact that he had that injury, and then again, I knew it right away when it happened. I said he either broke his rib or got the cartilage. And I'm like, man, they're gonna have to pull him. Like there's no way he's gonna be able to turn and torque. and he threw that dime of a pass. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, on fourth down. I mean,
on fourth down. Yeah. But it's like, I don't know how he's going to yell out his cadence. I don't know how he's going to continue. Now that the adrenaline's down, it's man, that injury, it sucks.
Is that going to affect him all season long, or is it a 3 or 4
No,
week
he'll
thing?
get over it. He'll get over it. It takes, I mean, everybody's different. I'm trying to think how long mine took about a month. Yeah. Mine took a month of trying not to sneeze and cough. And I couldn't train, but I couldn't train with mine at all. And nor did I have any desire to.
I had 2 more players I want to ask you.
Get hit by a helmet in the area.
Yeah, I mean, even the coughing, right? Because I mean,
Dude,
even that
horrible.
probably sets you back. 2 more players I want to ask you about. Jalen Hurts, and not so much at what he's done this year, but it seems like it was just yesterday. The big debate was, does Philly want to commit to Jalen Hurts as their quarterback? Pull him, let him play, trade. So what have we learned, though, with how awesome he is now versus when they were questioning if he could even be the quarterback?
Well, he's better. I don't know about awesome yet, right? It's only a couple weeks. I want to see, because now people start adjusting to him as this new Jalen Hurts, if you will, right? So I want to see how he responds to that. But we go back to, like, I look for guys who work their butts off. And, a buddy of mine who used to coach for me at Unbreakable, my gym in LA, coaches him down there and trains him. And he's like, dude, this kid just nonstop. He nonstop works. So, his thing was accuracy. And it's really hard to become more accurate as time goes on. But, were they looking to replace him at a time? Yeah, absolutely. They're trying to upgrade if they thought. But as he continued to work at this, he is now coming to, and I think the Eagles are going to be one of those teams. I thought they're going to be a turnaround team this year, not as much for the talent they brought in, but for the fact that last year with the head coach, Nick Sirianni, they were all kind of like, does this guy really know what he's doing? Should he have gotten the job? Where are we going here? And now they're all bought in. Now they're like, okay, he's the king man in charge. We follow him. We're good. So they had just a different confidence about them.
All right, last one. I'm sure you get asked about this a lot, like with Tom Brady and all of the rumors and tweets. And
yeah.
Do we expect this, whatever this is? I'm not even asking you to say what this is.
Yeah, because I'm on TMZ. That's
Whatever this is, do we expect him to be affected all season long?
I don't know how he's affected. Like
It seems to me that for
Tom has this thing, man, where, and I was with him the week he came back, and they're the great ones are like, man, like Randy Couture is my training partner, and Randy got hit with these legal papers before he went down to fight Tim Sylvia for the heavyweight championship of the world, and it was bad. And he goes down with the biggest smile on his face, and he beats the dog out of Tim Sylvia. And Randy's 44 years of age, but he's smiling the whole time. And I'm going, bro, how are you able to compartmentalize like that? And he said, because that cage is the only place my problems can't touch me. And I think Tom is one of those elite guys where, man, between those lines, his problems can't touch him. But that's why I don't touch his personal life, because that's him, man. That's him. That's Tom's life, and we all go through stuff. And do I think it will affect him on the field? No, I don't.
Unbreakable with Jay Glazer. It's a podcast. You can go and actually check that out today, and you can order the book, Unbreakable, How I Turn My Depression, Anxiety into Motivation, and you can too. Hey, just appreciate how candid you are about struggle in general. It's not easy. Vulnerability is a really hard thing to learn, a very empowering thing once you can understand and see the effects it has on other people and the strength that you get from them. So I think you have inspired so many and so many more with the podcast. And thank you for your time, and thank you for your efforts, Jay.
That. And I appreciate also, like, I want people to understand, I'm talking about heavy stuff, but we're going to laugh. Like, laughter helps me through it too. So if you read the book, you listen to the podcast, there'll be some heavy stuff, but you'll definitely get some laughter in there too, because I think the gray hates laughter.
At Jay Glazer on the socials. We'll be looking forward to it. Jay, see you on TV again.
My dude. Thank you, brother.
See you, buddy.